Greetings, Boogie fans! Michael here, and this year is the year of the legendary Pokemon. A few months ago, the Pokemon Company announced that this year they would be celebrating the power and mysticality of legendary Pokemon with monthly in-game distributions of the version exclusives and some new TCG sets. And no one really gives a crap. Okay, to be fair, some people are excited about the Shiny Zygarde distribution, the first legal Shiny Zygarde that anyone could possibly get, but overall it's still pretty underwhelming. So in the spirit of the whole event being lamer than a three-legged horse, I'm going to crap on some legendary Pokemon and talk about the top 10 worst legendary Pokemon. Technically my least favorite, but you know, if you put least favorite in the title, it just gets too wordy. Now before we get started, I do need to clarify what definitions I will be using for what a legendary Pokemon is. So, for the purposes of this video, a legendary Pokemon is any Pokemon found on this webpage of the official Pokemon website, plus any Pokemon listed on the Bulbapedia page of mythical Pokemon. So any legendary Pokemon and any mythical Pokemon, they're all legendary for this video. Now, before some of you get all up in arms about this, allow me to explain. On the Bulbapedia page about mythical Pokemon, it says that in Japanese media, mythical Pokemon and legendary Pokemon were always classified separately as two totally separate groups. However, in non-Japanese media, which if you didn't know is the media that I use, because I am not Japanese, they were all considered legendary Pokemon up until Generation 5. Since I got my start in the Pokemon games in Generation 3, and the anime even before that, I'm gonna stick with the classification that I grew up with, being mythicals as a subset of legendary Pokemon, but they are all legendary Pokemon. Thank you very much. Also, I ran a poll about it on Twitter asking you guys whether to include mythicals or not include mythicals in this video, and including mythicals won by a lot. So if you're upset about this, remember, you chose it. Secondly, while some consider Ultra Beasts to be legendary Pokemon, it doesn't appear that the Pokemon Company considers them that way, so I'm not going to be including them in this video. They are not listed on that official webpage of legendary Pokemon, and in the legendary Pokemon quiz, the last question is, which of these is not a legendary Pokemon? And Pheromosa is the correct answer. Also, please ignore the fact I did not get a perfect score on that quiz. I am very ashamed. Also, I realized that I just used official material to back up a classification immediately after intentionally ignoring official material, but come on, guys. If I included Ultra Beasts in this list, they'd be the whole list because they're all so ugly. Except for Poipole and Naganado, they're cool, they can stay. But now that we've finally covered that extensive amount of classification, I hope you're excited for the video, guys. If you are, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you are new, and without further ado, here are my top 10 worst legendary Pokemon. Number 10, Suicune. Okay, just wait, hear me out for just a second, just hold on, okay? Here, on the screen right now is a regular, perfectly normal Suicune. It is very cool. It is an awesome Pokemon, and some would argue the best legendary beast, which is something that I could probably agree with. But now let's look at the shiny colorings. Here is a normal shiny Suicune. It's not the best shiny coloring in the world, but it looks pretty cool. Now, I got some nice different shade of blues to go along with the water typing. But here is the custom shiny Suicune that I used on my team in my Pokemon Sun and Moon randomizer shiny race Nuzlocke with A-Drive last fall. And I have to say, in all honesty, this thing. I hate this specific Suicune for a multitude of reasons. The first is that it took me an obnoxiously long amount of time to shiny hunt it, which in a playthrough that involves shiny hunting, it's kind of like, okay, give me the shiny, we need to move on and make more videos. So that was annoying, especially considering that Dan got his shiny of that round of the shiny race super freaking quickly, and I had to have another stream later in the day that night to freaking find it. And then it shows up and it looks like this. It's rose gold.
I hate it, but I'm gonna catch it anyways.
One of my least favorite colors, guys. It's so tacky. Rose gold things are incredibly tacky. You cannot change my mind about this. And so this Suicune is clearly very, very tacky. So that's what I named it. As an additional annoyance, this Suicune that I caught, its ability was electric terrain. And the types were not randomized in this randomizer, so a water type summoning electric terrain and then suddenly making the opposing electric type Pokemon very powerful meant I was never comfortable using it. So it was just, I always bared animosity toward it for the entire playthrough, and I still do. So I don't hate all Suicune. I hate this Suicune. So that's why it's the lowest place on this list. I really wanted to vent about this, so that is why it is here. Number 9, Zapdos. In the very well-known game, Pokemon Go, Team Mystic and Team Valor are far more popular than the third team option of Team Instinct. Now, there's a variety of reasons for why this could be the case. The first is that maybe blue and red are just better light colors than yellow. Okay, I could see that. Another possible option is that their names of, Mystic or Valor are just more interesting than the name of Instinct. Or it could be because Articuno and Moltres are majestic, awesome elemental power birds, while Zapdos looks like a toddler with a pair of scissors got way too excited with some yellow construction paper. Listen guys, I love the electric type. It is my favorite type, and Zapdos, I do admit, is the strongest Pokemon in regards to competitive battling compared to the other legendary birds, but that doesn't change the fact that this thing looks ridiculous. The big spiky wings look really awkward and rigid, especially when he flaps them in its 3D model, and the tiny eyes and really thin beak on such a fanned out face just looks very silly to me. I definitely think they could have designed a much cooler looking electric bird, maybe a more cartoony version of this drawing here. Its shiny is also virtually indistinguishable from its regular coloring. I'm actually pretty sure that in Pokemon Go, they're still using its shiny model in the games. It's just barely anyone's noticed because they look the same. I will admit Articuno's is very close as well, but Zapdos's is definitely a lot closer. Because of its goofy looks, Zapdos will always be my least favorite legendary bird, while Moltres will always be my favorite. Number 8, Heatran. Heatran is an extremely derpy Pokemon and some seriously wasted potential on such a cool design premise. I mean, come on, it's a fire steel type, the first one ever that dwells deep in volcanic caves. That sounds really awesome. But then you look at it, and it looks like a rotten papaya with legs. I mean, seriously, they could have done so much better. They could have made something like this terrifyingly badass lava monster here. Or if they wanted to stick with the wall crawling type design, they could have made its body smaller and its legs a lot longer, kind of like this robot spider here, except it obviously wouldn't be a robot. Either one of these body types would have made a lot more sense and would have made it look a lot more fearsome and cool. However, I think Heatran's biggest problem is its face. Legendaries are supposed to be either very cute and friendly or very fearsome and powerful looking. But this thing's mouth looks like a really crappy rapper got a very budget grill, and it looks ridiculous. Seriously, just replace that mouth with something that looks a lot more fearsome, and it's gonna be a much better Pokemon just with that simple change. But since Heatran is stuck the way it is now, I'm never going to be a very big fan of it. It is just too awkward looking and some massively wasted potential on what could have been an incredibly cool legendary Pokemon of the volcanoes. Number 7, Kyurem. Reshiram and Zekrom have pretty different designs from most Pokemon, but I like them. I really like the just all one color type design, plus the way their tails light up when they're powering up looks really cool. However, Kyurem in comparison is way more lame. It just doesn't look as fearsome and just kind of looks incomplete. I do realize that it's supposed to be incomplete, that's like a central focus of its design, but that doesn't change the fact that it doesn't look as cool. Its fusion forms are what I really don't like about it though. I love Black 2 and White 2, and the idea of Pokemon fusion was something that really intrigued me when I first heard about it, but then these are the fusions. These are abominations! I would have much preferred some cleaner looking fusions, you know, ones that were more symmetrical and not just have part of a dragon's face coming out of it like this and it's just looking really weird. I know it's supposed to be an incomplete fusion because you need all three to recreate the true original dragon, but at the same time, I just really wish these things weren't just such a hot mess. Well, cold mess, technically. Well, for Black Kyurem, it's a cold mess. White Kyurem is still kind of a hot mess because it's fire. Never mind. Number 6, Magearna. I would like to take this opportunity to take a stroll down memory lane with you lovely people and take a look at the first Pokemon revealed for each generation prior to the generation being released. Gen 2 was Ho-Oh in the anime, a very awesome legendary bird. Good call. Gen 3 was Kecleon. Not the coolest Pokemon out there, but it's a respectable lizard. I think it's fine. Gen 4 was Munchlax, a cute new pre-evolution of a beloved Gen 1 Pokemon. Pretty solid decision. Gen 5, Zoroark, the very badass Illusion Fox. Very cool. Gen 6, the starters and the box art legendaries. You can never really go wrong with that. And then Gen 7, this strange robot ballerina that looks just like some recreation of Diancie and left everybody really confused. What? Of all the cool Generation 7 Pokemon to pick from, the first one you reveal is the Mythical Pokemon that looks way too similar to another Mythical Pokemon from the generation just prior? What are you thinking? And even if you like, okay guys, we have to have a mythical Pokemon because this movie we're gonna make, then do Marshadow. Marshadow is adorable and awesome. Magearna is just a robot ballerina. Essentially, the big reason I don't like Magearna is because it was an odd and, in my opinion, unworthy Pokemon to be our first taste of Generation 7. It's so freaking lame. And also, its movie was terrible. Number 5, Regigigas. The Regis are not my favorite, but they are from Hoenn, and since I'm extremely biased toward anything coming from the Hoenn region, they get a pass here. Besides, the quest to find them in the Hoenn games is really interesting and creative and mystical and makes me feel like Indiana Jones, plus their cries in the Lucario movie are incredible. But Regigigas is a serious letdown compared to the original Regis. I like the idea of the Regis having a leader that controls all three of them, but I thought it would be something that encompassed all of their design aspects, the steel, the rock, and the ice. Not just a white blob with tatted arms, gold bling, and some bushes. Plus, honestly guys, Regigigas is a joke. It is the leader of a legendary trio, and its ability is Slow Start. How is the leader of a legendary trio so incompetent? Get it together, man! I just really think they could have done something so much better with Regigigas, but instead, we have this. Although I will say, its primal form in the Pokemon Insurgence fan game, that's pretty cool. Number 4, Tornadus. I have always disliked the fact that Pokemon based primarily on birds with no other attributes such as fire or darkness that could be attributed to another type were normal flying type Pokemon. That's stupid. Why is the normal type there? Oh, because they're normal birds? No! Normal type is for normal animals with normal attributes that no other type really describes. If it's a Pidgey, it is something that can fly. Flying type is a type that describes it. They're not normal anymore if they can freaking fly. So imagine how insulted I was when the first ever, and still the only one to this day, pure flying type Pokemon is a buff green man with a bad mustache sitting in a cloud. I get that they have interesting origins based on some Japanese myth or whatever. True Green 7's discussed it at length, and he said that makes them like him more because they have cool origins, but he cares a lot more about a Pokemon's origins than me. I just want him to look cool, and Tornadus definitely does not. Also, 2 more quick things that make me dislike it. Its Therian form, while better, still looks pretty derpy, and its shiny is virtually indistinguishable from the normal one, and that's always a bad thing. Number 3, Meloetta. I don't like Meloetta because it's boring and it doesn't make sense. Why is this mythical, mystical, supposedly ancient Pokemon just a cartoon girl with a Britney Spears head mic slapped on her face and hair that's literally music staves, something that people came up with? That doesn't make any sense. I just think its design is really boring and lame, but the biggest reason I hate it is because of its arc in the black and white anime. I watched that entire arc. To this day, I don't know why. It was so bad, but every time I see Meloetta, I'm reminded of how terrible the black and white anime was. Kinda like I hate Axew, even though I love Haxorus, because Iris and her stupid Axew were just incredibly annoying. So if it's a Pokemon that reminds me of that anime, I'm not gonna like it very much. Number 2, Landorus. As you've probably inferred from the fact that this is the second one of them on this list, I am not a big fan of the legendary genies. No matter how interesting their origins may be, they're still just buff men with bad mustaches and hairstyles coming out of clouds, with weird tail things that don't make sense. They're just weird. Tornadus was number 4, Landorus is this entry, and Thundurus is not on this list because I dislike him least of the 3 for his electric typing and pretty cool looking Therian form. I still don't know what animal it's supposed to be, but you know, it looks pretty cool. Also, come on, if 3 entries on this list were all 3 of the genies, that would be too much. 2's already pushing it. Landorus is my least favorite of the 3 though. Obviously I dislike it because of its normal appearance, but there are 2 big reasons why I dislike it more than the other 2. The first is that his Therian form looks weird. I love the idea of a perpetually floating flying tiger creature, but Landorus Therian looks so bad because his face looks too much like the original. Tornadus and Thundurus' Therian forms have their faces changed quite a bit to look more like the animal they've become. It's not drastic, but they look more like animals, which I like. However, Landorus Therian form's face, while it has clearly changed from the incarnate form, doesn't change to look more like a cat. It just looks like a different man face with a bad haircut plopped on the front of a cat. It looks ridiculous. And the second reason I dislike it is because of its prevalence in VGC. I was really into VGC back in the 2014 season where only Kalos Pokedex Pokemon were allowed. However, in VGC 15 that expanded to a lot more Pokemon, and Landorus Therian was everywhere. You either had to prepare for it exactly, figure out how to use it yourself, or both. And always having to think about one Pokemon in particular just really sucked the fun out of it for me. Like I said, I don't like any of the genies, but Landorus has personally offended me when the others have not, earning it the number 2 spot on this list. Number 1, Hoopa. I do not watch the Pokemon anime anymore. I have grown out of its childish plot lines, and I never really got accustomed to the new voice actors. Me saying new voice actors, even though the voice actors changed 12 years ago. Yes, I feel old now too. However, periodically my girlfriend Jubilee and I will take a look at some of the newer Pokemon anime creations, particularly the movies, and then I'm reminded why I don't watch it anymore. Because they're bad. Pokemon the movie, I Choose You, it was meh. Volcanion and the Mechanical Marvel, not very good, didn't really enjoy it. Hoopa and the Clash of Ages, dear God, this movie was a flaming hot pile of garbodor in the worst possible way. Was it cool seeing all of those legendary Pokemon battling it out in one place? Yeah, sure. But that did not make up for the fact that that movie's main focus was one of the most annoying, infuriating Pokemon to ever appear on television. Hoopa. Ale Hoopa ring, shut the f*** up. It only talked in third person, continued to talk like an idiot in its giant beast form, and even though it's a centuries old Pokemon smart enough to speak, it was still an idiot. I hated that movie and the Hoopa in that movie so much that it has become my least favorite legendary Pokemon. Most Pokemon on this list are here because I think their designs are just lame or stupid. But Hoopa has made me want to pull my hair out every time I remember that frickin' movie. And so that is why I will always dislike it, because its movie was just absolute trash. So there we have it. Those are my top 10 worst legendary Pokemon. If you happen to love any of the Pokemon on this list and I've offended you, my deepest condolences. Make sure though to get back at me, just share it to everybody you know, share the video, and just so you can like, hey, look at this idiot and his bad opinions. And the ads in this video, look at them, watch them too, that'll really get me. But if you're a lovely person who did like this video, make sure to click that like button down. I just did a thumbs down. What am I doing? Click the thumbs up button down below. And if you enjoy Pokemon and my content, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you are new here. Also, whether you're newly subscribed or have been subscribed for a while, make sure you tap that bell icon so that even if YouTube's being dumb, you always get notified of my videos so you don't miss anything that you'd want to see. Alright, that's all I have for now. So till next time, fans. Gotta catch them all.